Welcome to the Blue Jungle, the sports podcast provided by The Signal.
All right, what's good, Georgia State? Welcome to the third episode of the Blue Jungle. Ben Abrams, Tobi, Adeyemi.
How you guys doing?
All right, well, anyway, hope y'all having a good week right now. As you can see, a bit different quarters this weekend. We're actually here on the weekend recording this right now, and that's just because actually today's podcast we're going to be talking about the season opener. Yeah, the season opener for the football team. Football team started the season last night. Obviously, wanting to build on top of their
successful.
Yeah, the success from
They're what they consider successful.
Well, I mean, all things considered, it was a successful season. They did go 6-6. Bowl game. I consider the fact that they won more last year. I think they only won like 5 games in their first 5 years in the program.
They won 6.
They won last year, and they got to the bowl game. So they were looking to build off of that. And of course, that started last night with the season opener against Ball State. And unfortunately, did not get off to a great start. Anyway, Ball State coming away with the win, 31-21. Really did have I think really it was a running game that really showed out. So
it was the running game fully. The running game killed Georgia State.
Yeah.
And it was something we had issues with since the program started, and still it came back to bite us. We only had 75 yards last night.
Yeah, 77.
77 yards compared to Ball State's 325. So to get doubled in just rushing, not even double, tripled in just rushing, we're not going to be able to survive that.
Yeah, well, and I think Coach Miles, he obviously knows this. He's been saying he's been wanting to, have a more balanced offense this year, have more of a running game this year. And it has been a troubling fact. I mean, even, last year, we consider the fact that they didn't even average 100 yards rushing last year. And last night they came way short of that. So
way short. And that was one of the major keys for the season. They had an expectation that they were going to be better with running the ball. Coach Miles said they were going to go with a running back by committee, but whether it was Glenn Smith or whether it was Kendrick Dorn or whoever they decided to run the ball, they really wasn't able to get much. Their best rusher was a QB. Once again from last year, it was a QB.
Yeah, so, and that's the thing. I think that's the that's the irony of it, is the fact that now backup quarterback Aaron Winchester ends up being pretty much was really the only really made the only impact for your running game. I mean, not only was he was the lead rusher, he had 59 of the 77 yards. He had the only rushing TD of the game.
The whole game.
And and then after him, I think we talked about your regular quarterbacks. I think the guy who was second was Glenn Smith, who had 14 yards, but 13 of those yards came on one carry.
So again, wasn't really able to make an impact. And he had a lot of carries. He wasn't really able to make a big impact.
Oh, no. And, I mean, there were a number of times last night where, and Georgia State, they tried to, have more balance. They actually tried to get the running gun going. They were a lot more balanced in their play calls. From what I have down here, they had 25 running plays to 40 pass plays. But, there were a lot of those running plays where, as soon as the back got the ball, he got stuffed. So
a lot of them got stuffed, and a lot of them, they lost a lot of yards too.
Yeah, they did.
A couple yards.
I think that because we talked about in comparison, they actually, if you go down to if you actually look at the stat sheet, they actually lost 11 yards. Thanks to Connor Manning and Amari Skyfe, who both had negative yardage. So that's actually what affected their total as well. But still, just a poor outing. And then when you compare to Ball State's, running stats, 325 yards of rushing. That also, I think, allowed them to, half the ball for almost 36 minutes of game time. And then here's the big one, James Gilbert, man. He just ran up.
Ran through us.
Yeah, here's literally James Gilbert's stats from last night's game. 29 carries, 160 yards, 2 touchdowns. So you only have
one
back.
Doubled us.
Yeah,
doubled our whole team.
Doubled the entire team, or more than doubled the entire team.
And what even makes it worse, the game, you wouldn't think it was that big of a discrepancy until you look at the second half.
Yeah.
The second half, the first half we kept it tied. It was a tie game. We entered 14-14. Then second half, 267 yards.
Oh, and that's the thing, and I think that was the thing, is that second half really just
destroyed us.
Yeah, I mean, because that was really, I think, what the big thing was, is that running game just wore the defense down.
You can't really blame the defense because the defense was actually pretty good.
Yeah, they just got tired.
They got tired. The offense wasn't able to make anything happen. We got little to nothing on the offensive end. So you can't expect the defense, no matter how good they are, to come on every 2 minutes, after a turnover, after a 3-0, every time, and just hold it down. They won't be able to go and get worn down. In the second half, Ball State exposed us with it, ran it down our throats, and we had nothing to do about it.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. During the preseason, I think that, during the preseason and, coming up to this first game, everyone knew that the issues were going to be on offense. Yeah. That it was just the offense had a whole lot of question marks, and I don't think any of those questions
none of them were answered. And we can get straight into QB now because honestly, our starting.
I mean, is it safe to say that the quarterback competition is still open? Because
it's wide open, and first game cemented that. Because honestly, Connor Manning, if you were just looking at Connor Manning's stat line, you would think he actually played pretty solid.
He actually outplayed Riley Neal too. That's the thing. He actually played better than Riley Neal.
Yeah. He outthrew him 162 yards. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but you see that, you would think it was a solid game, but I feel like to really see where his impact was, you had to be watching the game.
No question.
You could tell he wasn't comfortable.
Oh, yeah, there's no question because, first of all, I mean, when you look at Riley Neal's stats, the 2 picks were back-to-back.
Yeah.
Were back-to-back, and they were right in the beginning of the first quarter, so really the turnovers were kind of irrelevant really for the game, and you could say the same for Georgia State, but you could say there's no question that, Connor Manning, and I will say it's more, I think, to a lack of experience than anything. But he seriously did not look like he had.
He didn't look like he was ready to be out there.
Yeah, he really didn't look comfortable. He looked like he was still trying to find his footing.
Trying to understand the offense a little more.
Yeah.
Everything, to me, at least the way I see it, looked rushed to me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, because, he did have some good passes. But really, I think the bigger concern, or the bigger thing that really stood out to me with Connor Manning, and it was actually pointed out in the analysis of last night's game, was that it really did not seem like, I don't know if it was just him or Coach Ma, but it seemed like they did not really have a lot of faith in his arm strength either, because, a lot of the passes that were completed, they were all screen passes.
Yeah.
So they were either bubble screens or just short passes, and then I don't even think they even threw double digits on the number of deep throws either.
I don't think so. And I don't remember seeing many deep throws in the game, to be honest with you.
But then the other thing I noticed is with a lot of the deep throws of the ball, a couple of them were just floaters. He just kind of floated the ball up there, and that's actually what caused that one pick he threw. Was he just kind of airmailed it, and it literally went. It just ended up being overthrown and went right into the hands of the defense. So I mean.
So yeah, I feel like that's where it highlighted him. He wasn't comfortable. He really doesn't have good arm strength, and I feel like that's where Aaron Winchester was able to make it better.
Yeah.
Because the difference with them, at least to me, the difference I'm seeing is that Winchester could move.
Yeah.
He was able to escape and be able to create something out of nothing.
Yeah.
Manning has none of that mobility, and it killed him. Either he had to throw the ball, and it wasn't really a good pass, or it was a short pass.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, Ball State actually had a good defense, so they were able to get us a lot of the time.
And I think the other thing is that that lack of arm strength or the lack of faith in that arm strength, Ball State knew it.
Yeah,
they knew it. I think they also
to blitz, rushes.
Yeah, because you talk about just the pressure they kept applying on that offensive line, and I think they also. To Mike New's credit, I think they also realized that the offensive line, still had issues.
I was thinking that too. Our offensive line still needs some work because they weren't able to protect QB at all.
Yeah, they did okay, but it's but there were a number of times where they got pressure all night, and I know there were a number of times where Manning just got pressure immediately. There were a number of times
he just got hit almost every time.
Yeah,
and I feel that was another reason for his hurried, rushed play. Yeah, because he really didn't have any free time with the ball.
See, but then also I think that falls back to how the running game failed him too, because it's knowing that you have a new quarterback in there with pretty much little to no experience, and you have a questionable offensive line, that's where you're going to need the running game to help him out. And it's there still seems to be no running game outside of Aaron Winchester, at least last night, and so it's if that keeps happening, especially with these next 3 games and just looking down the schedule, especially with Arkansas State, having played a little later on the year in Georgia Southern, I mean, I'm just saying, dude, there are going to be a lot of losses this year, man.
A lot. And especially with running, especially come next game. With our next game, we're playing the Air Force, and they have the number 4 rushing in the whole nation.
Well, and that's the thing. And I mean, my thing was that I think originally, I know in our first episode, I think both me and Devon said they were going to be losses, and I'm reinforced with that because, I mean, because the thing is that, you know, they're a military school, so they're going to go with the option. They're going to run a lot. They're a lot more disciplined. And my thing is that I seriously do think that they do have a defense that could at least, you know,
handle it,
contain it.
Yeah.
But the thing is that, you know, the way the offense is going, because here's the thing, Air Force has an undersized defense.
Yeah.
They have, like, I think the smallest defense in the nation, if I'm right. And last year, according to Athlon Sports, they gave up 159 points their last 4 games.
Cool.
But the thing is that if you have no running game, but the other problem is they also had 37 sacks last year.
Okay, so they have a good front.
Yeah, they have a good front. So it's like, okay, no running game, and, you know, you have a quarterback with questionable arm strength, or your starter with questionable arm strength. It's like, okay, because that's the thing, the offense can't move the ball, and the defense, I mean, the defense is going to get tired like they did in the last game.
That's the thing, and you can tell. That's why, honestly, I have faith in the Georgia State's defense.
Yeah.
And I saw it in the first half. I was really surprised from what I was seeing. They're chippy, they play hard, they work hard, and they're always they're there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're there, and they keep the game tight, but we can't do anything.
Well, and the defense actually gave them opportunity. Jerome Smith gave them like 2 opportunities.
The first touchdown of the game was a defensive touchdown off a pick 6.
And then the second one was in Cardinal territory, and they couldn't even capitalize off of it. And then, of course, the other one, you know, Brian Williams had 10 tackles. Alonzo McGee had 9 tackles and had the only sack in the game. You know, Bobby Barker.
That's another thing. They do not apply pressure to QB, though.
Yeah.
They don't get into that backfield at all. One sack.
Yeah, because that was the thing about Riley Neal. He had a lot of time. And there was actually one run that he actually broke off for, I can't remember how many yards it was, but, you know, there's that one run where
a big run.
Like, he broke off and actually got, like into, I think he actually got within the 10-yard line. And actually, I think that's actually set up.
And I think, I don't know, was that was the one Georgia State stuffed them at the 1-yard line?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, Georgia State was, and that was another highlight for me, too. That was another big highlight. That was the highlight of the defense for me because that showed us what we're capable of. They were Ball State got all the way down to the end zone pretty much. 1-yard line. First they got stuffed on 3rd down. First attempt on 3rd down, they got stuffed. Next attempt, they decided to throw, and we ended up breaking it up. We got the ball at the 1, and that's when Winchester came in for his first drive. Right. And he was able to get it to midfield. So it showed progress that we were actually able to move the chains a little bit, but we weren't able to capitalize from that.
Yeah, but I still feel like in the end, you know, it was just the lack of results from the offense really just tired that defense out. Because if you notice, like, and I think really where the momentum changed was right at halftime when Gilbert got that second touchdown toward the end of the first half, and then, you know, Ball State, you know, comes out and then they get a field goal, you know, right at the beginning of the 3rd quarter.
And we just weren't able to ever make that ground back up.
Yeah, and then really once you really got to the second half, at that point they knew that they could just keep applying pressure.
And they knew they just had to run the ball.
Yeah, just keep applying pressure to Manning and just running the ball because that 3rd quarter Manning, you know, didn't do anything.
And that's what brought in Winchester.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I also now I'm starting to think, do you think that? Because I'm really wondering if they brought in Winchester way too late. Because I
feel like that. I feel they did.
Because some tell me they would have like made a switch in the 3rd quarter and given Winchester more time.
Yeah.
Georgia State probably could have had a chance.
Because it was kind of halfway through the 3rd quarter too. He didn't even start the second half. So they gave Manning like another final chance. And
I don't even think Winchester's even started till the 4th quarter. It was either near the end of the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, it was very late in the game. But I just feel like they saw Manning was just enabled. He wasn't able to produce anything. So that's my next question for you, man. Who do you think is the starter? Who do you think is the starter for next week? But look at these stats. Mm-hmm. Manning, 162 yards, a touchdown, interception. Winchester only 59 yards rushing, and 25 throwing. So who would you go with?
Well, I would say personally, knowing what Air Force is and knowing how their defense is, I actually might go ahead and just go with Winchester.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say I honestly still feel like because, Manning had good stats, they'll still try to go with Manning for the
They'll probably start him.
Yeah, they'll start him, but I would not. Here's my feeling, at least, really for these next 3 games, man.
Short leash.
I'm thinking it's going to be kind of he's going to be on a short leash, and honestly, I feel like, especially in the next 3 games, we're going to see both of them out there.
Yeah.
And I think Winchester's going to get a significant more amount of minutes, the way. Because here's the thing, I mean, that was a struggling Ball State team that came off a 3-9 season.
They weren't a good team.
Granted, that was the first game of the season, but now you're facing an Air Force team that, can run the ball effectively. They actually have a better passing game this year.
They have a good quarterback.
They have a good quarterback.
They have a great quarterback in Nate Romy.
Yeah.
Great wide receivers in senior Jalen Robinette.
Yeah.
And they have one of the best rushers in the nation with Jacoby Owens.
See, and then they also have that running back by committee,
Yeah.
Timmy McVeigh, 13 touchdowns. Jacoby Owens, 1,096 yards. And that's the thing, they got 4 of them, so it's like,
So imagine the way Ball State was able to run down our throats. What do you think the Air Force might be?
Oh, yeah, there's no question. You got them, and then you got Wisconsin, which, that's already a loss.
That's another one. That's not even an argument. That's not even up for debate.
And then the next one I don't think is much of an argument either, because then you got App State, and you saw what they did to Tennessee.
They really should have won that game.
Yeah, that should have been a win.
That should have been a win for them. That would have been a big upset to start out the college football.
So I will just say, I think just to wrap it up here, Georgia State had a lot of questions, coming into the season about their offense, and none of them were answered. I think defense will be fine.
Yeah.
As long as
Sullivan, McGee, everyone, they have a really good back. Their back four is really good.
Yeah,
the safety,
no question.
With the corners and the safety, they're really good. They need to find a way to get to the quarterback more, but with their backfield, they're actually able to help defend the pass a lot well.
Yeah.
Even if they can't sack the quarterback.
The backfield was great. I do agree with you that they really did not do a great job getting pressure on the quarterback. Because that was a sophomore quarterback, and I think he was able to do what he wanted. I still feel like a lot of it still had to do with the offense not being able to put more points on the board, not being able to stay on the field longer, and just having that defense being tired out, and especially that front seven being tired out with that running, because they also had that running back committee, and just having, especially Gilbert and the rest of them, just running the ball down their throat. I mean, we talk about how many times Gilbert was able to get through that middle. It's just
easy.
I mean, it was just easy, but like I said, I still feel like I was more fatigued than anything.
Yeah, I feel like that loss could be given to fatigue, definitely.
Yeah, but anyway, so like I said, hopefully they'll answer some questions. I'll be honest, these next 3 games, I'm not really too confident.
Starting the season 0-4, do you think we can win 5 straight again and get back to the board?
I mean, I think they're going to have to.
They might have to.
I mean, because I think I originally had picked Ball State as a win, and that's the thing. And I think Georgia Southern's not even going to be a guarantee either. I mean, because they
probably made improvements from last year.
Oh, they made improvements, and then of course they actually are running a 2-quarterback system, ironically, but both of them are seniors, so I mean
they know how to play. They know to come in, what to do.
Yeah. Granted, they also have a lack of a passing game, but which they're trying to institute. But then again, that's really, I think Arkansas State's going to be the big one. It's going to be the bigger challenge. Appalachian and Arkansas State are going to be the big challenges, and I just think after watching this first game, not confident in either one of them.
So you're predicting we're starting at 0-4?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, but the offense only had 3 points last year against App State, and that was with Arbuckle's quarterback. So, and now they're having to face offense with a lot of issues, and a new quarterback who's only going to have 3 games of experience under his belt.
So what do you think is the biggest thing Coach Miles is working on before next Saturday?
I think honestly, I think he's trying to figure out who's he going to start, and I would not be surprised if Winchester does get reps with the first team. But I think the second thing is just. I think honestly it's kind of hard to say, because I would say the first thing is probably still working with the offensive line to make sure they can actually give the quarterback better protection and give him some time. Yeah, because that's the thing, just give him some time in the pocket. But also, I just think the running back committee, man, those running plays, man, they got to figure out something.
So what you think running game? What you think? Do you think they stick with the old, or they let some freshmen come in,
I think you might as well just try out the freshman and see what happens. Because here's the thing.
These backs from last year are going. They're not, at least right now, through their first game, they're not looking like they've improved much.
Yeah, and I just don't think this running back committee is going to work. You're going to have to find your 2 or 3 guys that you can go with.
You can't just give it to 6 people hope.
Yeah.
One of them breaks through.
Yeah, and I mean Smith and Dorn are just not working. Yeah. And from the way it looked, and if Winchester's going to have to be
the number 1 runner.
Yeah.
That's not going to be a long season for him.
Yeah.
He might end up taking a little too many hits.
Oh, he's going to take a lot of hits. I mean, look at Georgia Tech, man. I mean, you talk about guys like Josh Nesbitt, Tevin Washington, even Justin Thomas. All of them had. You talk about how many hits they take in that offense, and all of them end up injured at some point. So, but anyway, it's just like I said, season is not off to a great start. It's only on 1. Hopefully, they'll try to.
Maybe we can get a surprise with these next 3.
Yeah, hopefully the next 3 will be, if nothing else, a learning experience, and by the time they come back home, they'll at least be ready to, have something to get a win. So
all right. How do you feel like this is going to affect? How do you feel this is going to affect the student body? How do you feel they're looking at the football season now? Because there was a lot of expectation on this game. I won't lie. They were really hyped. The atmosphere was hyped. It was crazy. A lot of people came out to see what they're going to do.
I mean, a lot of people were excited, but I don't know. I mean, I guess, and I'll also ask you this before I answer. I kind of feel like the student body. I mean, they think they already knew. It's like, okay, this is a process. This is the best year they did, and I think for a lot of the student body, they wouldn't be. I think a lot of them would have been surprised if would have been our 6-6, 7-5 year. But I think this one is kind of a downer. Yeah. But I think for them, they also do I think a lot of them, they're not really. I don't think you're going to see too much confidence in the next 3 games anyway. Wow. So I just think that's the thing. I just think this one's just kind of more of a bummer. But I still feel like bowl eligibility is still in reach.
Yeah, it's still in reach, definitely.
They still have a lot of winnable games. Thankfully, the Sun Belt is not a strong conference this year, from the looks of it. So, but anyway, I just think that just like I said, just not a great start. It looks like it's not going to be this first chunk of the season is not going to be a good start. So hopefully.
So at least hopefully we got to use this first chunk of the season, at least for the next 3 games, to at least answer some questions. Yeah. Number 1, who's our QB?
Number 2, who's the running backs?
Who's the running back?
And I think number 3, how are you going to fix that? What are you going to do about that offensive line? Because they've got to fix some of those issues.
Yes, sir. The wide receivers weren't bad either. That's the thing.
That was the one highlight. I will say the wide receivers weren't. And Penny Hart,
first offensive touchdown.
First offensive touchdown. 77 yards receiving. I mean, that's the thing. He actually, and the fact that he actually was able to get that touchdown back after it got negated by that
unsportsmanlike conduct.
That's the dumbest rule.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I didn't get it.
Basically what he did was I think they had on a replay. He had his hand up like that, because how I guess the Ball State player did him a tumble wag earlier, and he kind of did it.
Just show going back.
He did it I guess he did it before he crossed the goal line, so So it's that dumb. That's the dumbest rule I've ever seen, man. It's
football.
God forbid someone celebrates a touchdown.
A yard before the end of that.
God forbid they show some happiness. All right. So anyway, that's our podcast for this week. Said Georgia State takes on Air Force next week in football. Hopefully. Like I said, hopefully they'll have some issues figured out on offense. Like I said, defense should be able to bring it next week. They just big thing is are they going to get tired?
Offense. If the offense can stay on the field a little bit longer, we're going to have a better chance to win that game.
Yeah, no question. No question. But so hopefully those issues will be fixed next week. And like I said, defense, I think they just keep doing what they're doing. Just hopefully get some pressure on.
Get a couple more sacks. Or at least some QB hurries.
Yeah, at least get some pressure on Romaine next week. So, all right. So anyway, like I said, until next week.
Until next week, Tobi Adeyemi.
All right, and like I said, just be safe next week, and let's go Panthers.
Let's go Panthers.
All right, later.
You have been listening to The Blue Jungle, produced and edited by Ben Abrams, with music used with courtesy from Kevin McLeod at Incompetech.com. The Blue Jungle is a presentation of The Signal, the independent student newspaper for Georgia State University. For more podcasts, as well as other story and content, you can visit us on our YouTube page, as well as our Twitter and Facebook pages, and our SoundCloud page, as well as our website, georgiastatesignal.com.